It's Jamie, and today we're rehashing Jeremiah 10 to 12. It took a while for me today to get the meaning of two little things the Lord as Jeremiah shared with the people. The first is found in Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2, where the Lord says, "Do not act like other nations who try to read the future in the stars." So I had to do some digging on that phrase, other nations. And I was able to kind of boil it down to meaning other cultures. And by other cultures, I was able to even narrow it. Sorry about that, if that came through the mic. I was able to even narrow it to further mean basically non-Christians. He goes on in this chapter about worshiping other gods, and it all leads me to believe that this chapter is just basically a big wah, 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 staunch warning. Sure, we can learn from other cultures, we can learn from non-believers, but we must be careful not to cross the line into worship with them. Today, that could mean like hanging with people that are on their phone all the time. We've talked about the cell phone being a modern day idol worship, right? And birds of a feather, it won't be long till you're worshiping your phone too. Same thing with, drug dealers, drinkers, gamblers, all that kind of sinful stuff. We must watch who we surround ourselves with. Even non-believers are like, oh, that's just Joe. Joe drinks on Friday nights and Saturday nights and we hang out on Sunday after church. No, baby, you can't surround yourself with those people. Or, I know my friend is really bad and he's an atheist, but I love him and I'm going to bring him to Jesus. Don't surround yourself with that guy, man. Wow, that was like a staunch warning. Don't surround yourself with that guy, man. But don't, for real. He's saying right here, and he says over and over and over again in the Bible, be careful who you hang out with because you are your community. And one day I may not know who you are based on the people you're surrounded by. Now, if we look at the second part of this verse, the Lord is talking about astrology here, getting our future from the stars. Some Christians will defend their horoscope by saying, well, God put up the stars for us to read, right? Which may be true, but depending on them to dictate your tomorrow is worshiping those stars, right? Because how would the stars know God's plan? They don't, right? Same with those who live and die by sun and moon cycles. Yes, the Lord put the moon there, and so it makes perfect sense that the tide ebbs and flows based on its cycle, and that this is interconnected into our beings to cause physical and mental impairments based on its position. But again, what it doesn't call for is worship. I worked at a nursing home, and it was the first time I learned that the full moon actually has consequences, because a couple of days leading up to every full moon, the residents with Alzheimer's would start getting a little more cray-cray than usual. Some of them would, use the plants as bathrooms. Some of them would be running from fictitious fires, but it was always a couple days before the full moon. And then on full moon day, you wanted to call in sick, babe, because they were wild, all trying to escape. They all thought they were in a fire, or they would think that they're dying, or they would think that you're somebody else. And then after the full moon, it would just kind of gradually fade away and they would go back to their normal version of themselves. So yes, the sun and the moon can tell us things. Yes, the stars can tell us things, but they can't tell us our future. You can't worship them in any way because God is responsible for all of it. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a strong warning, if not stronger, for today times. Really? Going to see a psychic. We've talked about this before. That's somebody who's claiming to know God's plan for you. And that just isn't true. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to get off this topic because we've done it to death. It's repetitive here today in today's chapter. So I wanted to just touch on it quickly, and it ended up here, however many minutes in. The second thing I want to touch on, though, is found throughout today's chapters, and it's your position or your part in idol worship. What do you mean by that, Jamie? Well, the Lord speaks about the craftsman being ashamed for building false gods, even if the craftsman, that's a hard one. Craftsman has a Christian heart. It's just my job is not going to cut it. I have to be on my cell phone a lot for work. Not going to cut it. I really like the beat of Taylor Swift music. Isn't going to be a reason why you listen to her words. You have to be careful of what you're consuming and what you play a role in, right down to the books you read. If you're reading like dirty smut books, or if you're reading books that are all full of lust and sin and pornography, like, 50 Shades of Grey kind of thing, you got to be careful what you're consuming. If you're working out to Sam Smith's most famous tune, it's not harmless, baby, but it's taking up space in your brain that the Lord now cannot, right? So if you're out there singing Pink Pony Club all the time, that's space in your brain where the Lord can't get to. And if that's predominantly what's at the front of your brain because you're singing that song or listening to it so often, where's the Lord in all this? You've shoved him away. You've put him aside. He's in the penalty box. He's on the bench. He's not playing in the game. So take stock this week, if you can, while you're out in the world. What not so harmless activities are you taking part in? See what needs to change. I'll tell you, reading the lyrics to songs on my workout playlist was like a who's who of devil worship, I'm telling you. And it really stunned me. Try it. Caution, it may get icky if you're reading the lyrics. You know how Spotify now has that thing where you can scroll down and see the lyrics, and I'm reading these going, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be listening to this. God, I don't want to listen to this. Help me. And then, of course, he made it so that every time one of those songs comes on, I'm like, and I'm changing it. So it works. Asking him for help works. Tomorrow we're going to dig into Jeremiah 13 to 15 if you want to read ahead. I hope you have a pleasant day. Please comment, share, like this video in order to spread it around the YouTube verse. And don't forget to say your prayers. This is the Bible in a Year theme song.